Okay, Rudd asks, how common are founder VC disputes? Is there a ranking of VCs by how founder friendly they are? Curious if this has gotten better or worse over time. Great. So there isn't a list of like, here's a bunch of VCs who fight with founders. And one thing to understand is sometimes the founders are wrong. Sometimes, it's a two-way street here. And as many times as I've seen a VC, on the margins, let's call it less than 5% of the time, be difficult. I've seen founders be difficult 10% of the time, let's say. So you're dealing with highly driven, highly opinionated people if you're doing this right. So you should expect that people will not always see eye to eye. What you want to do is see if they're classy even in that. So I've had run-ins with founders who I disagree with what they were doing. Maybe they were doing something I thought was unethical. Maybe they were doing something that I thought was selfish or not fair to their team or just something I wasn't morally or ethically copacetic with. And I would just say to them very simply, listen, I don't want to have a cantankerous relationship with you. Do you want to buy my shares? Or maybe I sell you back half my shares. I'll let the other half ride. And you can just take me off your page and you don't have to have me on the investor page anymore. So that's what I try to do because this is a high stakes game. You can't expect everybody to get along all the time. And most people would argue that it is the scales tipped over the last decade to being very, very founder friendly. In fact, most people would say founders have too much power. Voting shares control their companies. Didn't used to be the standard. It used to be VCs controlled the company, could fire the founders at any time. Now the founders can just run amok like the founder of WeWork did. And there is no way to control them, right? So we've seen both sides of this. Zuckerberg answers to nobody. And we see the ramification of that. He's got a bunch of yes men and women on his board, a bunch of yes men and women in his company. And for better or worse, maybe for the better of the stock price, he can act unilaterally. But not having a check and balance in that case could lead to the company imploding, right? And I think that's the existential risk when any one party has too much power, the VC or the founder. And I wish we had some balance here in equilibrium. And you typically see that balance come when a company raises, their C or D rounds. Usually the boards become kind of balanced. So it's a great question. I wouldn't worry about this all that much if you're a founder. What I would do is I would just talk to other founders the investor has invested in and just say, hey, I'm thinking about going to Jason's accelerator. You went to Jason's accelerator. What was it like? And if you send that email to 10 people, if none of them get back to you, that means they don't have anything nice to say and they don't want to say something. If your phone rings immediately and somebody says, oh my God, it was the greatest experience of my life, or they respond quickly and say, sure, anytime, here's my phone number. Or if they call you quickly and say, oh, that was a disaster. I got nothing out of it. That's what you're going to find out real quick. And so you got to send 5 or 10 of those emails to get a really good representative sample size. So great question. And just like the VC is going to research you and diligence you, you got to diligence your VCs. And I don't see founders do it enough. Great question, Rudd.